Hello everyone, we're starting the flight control calibration. The end version of the flight controller has already been flashed with firmware and loaded with the corresponding aircraft parameters. It has undergone flight testing before leaving the factory, and we only need to calibrate the flight controller to use it. This is the calibration procedure table. We will proceed in this order. Place a riser on the motor and a long ruler between the two motors. Rotate the motor base left and right to ensure there are no gaps between the riser pad and the ruler. Finally, tighten both motor mounts. All three motor mount screws need to be tightened. The front motor mount is also fixed in the same way. First, measure the voltage of the to 6 seconds meters, then check the values displayed on the ground station. We used a drone can, current and voltmeter which has been calibrated at the factory. Select the corresponding COM port for the data transmission, baud rate 57600, and connect to the ground station software. To begin remote control calibration, click Start. Move the joysticks for channels 1-5 between their maximum and minimum values several times, and finally click Finish. The remote controller has 5 channels for controlling flight modes. A 5-channel fail-safe hold function is configured to prevent accidental triggering. Next, calibrate the ESC, first by powering the flight controller via USB. Select the corresponding COM port and connect to the ground station. In the list of all parameters, find QM spin arm and set it to 0 to disable idle speed. Find QESC cal and set it to 1 to enable calibration mode. When the flight mode is set to Q stable, the flight controller can output the maximum value. Turn on the safety switch. Unlock the flight controller. With the throttle high, power the aircraft using the battery, essentially powering the ESC, and wait for the warning sound to finish. Pull the throttle to a low position on the remote, and wait for the warning sound to finish. With a gentle push of the accelerator, you can see the 4 motors running in sync. Next, calibrate the cruise control ESC. First, disconnect the power. Switch from flight mode to manual mode. Push the throttle to a high position and power on the aircraft. Wait until the notification sound finishes. Pull the throttle to a low position on the remote, and wait for the warning sound to finish. Gently push the throttle to check if the motor is rotating normally. After calibration, set QM spin arm to 0.1 and restore idle speed. Check the motor rotation direction, paying attention to clockwise and counterclockwise rotation. Switch to manual mode to unlock and check the cruise motor steering. Next, we will begin the center position calibration of the control surface. First, release the 2 connecting rods. Rotate the ball joint to adjust the connecting rod travel to the appropriate length, keeping the control surface in the center position. The left and right aileron servos are operated using the same method. Loosen the nut on the rudder linkage and adjust the ball joint to the appropriate length to ensure the center alignment of the rudder surfaces. Calibrate using a jig, adjust the maximum and minimum values of the control surfaces and set the vertical stabilizer angle to 30 to the left and right. The horizontal stabilizer is 28 upward and 22 downward. The aileron rudder faces 22 upwards and 28 downwards. Switch the flight controller to manual mode and check the ailerons, elevator, and yaw for correctness using the remote controller. Switch the flight controller to FWA mode, adjust the aircraft attitude, and check the aileron, elevator, and directional feedback for correctness. Next, calibrate the flight control level position. Adjust the aircraft's roll and pitch positions appropriately to bring the angle measuring instrument to O. After calibration, check that the roll and pitch values fluctuate within a small range.